Hello, hello, everybody. Happy almost Human Design New Year, depending on when you're watching this. So we're actually going to be entering into gate 41, which is the start of the new human design cycle at 2:10 p.m. today Eastern. So we're so excited to be closing this cycle with you. We have thoroughly enjoyed going through all the closing gates to get to this point, and we're excited to celebrate. We've brought some yummy things. I have my delicious Hum probiotic kombucha. And Kathy, what do you have?
I've got my chaga with my mushroom powder and collagen added to it.
Mm. Ooh, that
Pretty
sounds very,
fancy, right?
yeah, it's fancy. It's funny. Can you tell the difference between Florida weather and your
And
weather?
North Georgia, it is freezing here.
Is it?
Like we're having like cold warnings,
Mhm.
like don't leave the house kind of stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So I think we're in the 70s today. So we're pretty warm today, but it's a little bit muggy with the rain.
I'm coming over.
Come on down anytime, seriously. Always love to have you. So let's take a look real quick. Sharing. So just to go over this again, right now, today, if you take a look at the wheel here, we are entering into the 41. So this is the line right here where we start. It's the ending and the start. So just a reminder for anybody that we go through all the activations this way. We go through counterclockwise for the sun. And so throughout the year, we've slowly gone through all these different activations. And then together we did 38, 54, 61, and 60. So now we're going to be moving over into 41. And so 41 is the gate of contraction. So let's take a look here. Where exactly gate of contraction is. So we've got gate 41 over here, and we're back in the root, which is also very interesting because this whole closing cycle, we've been in the head and the root, and those are both the pressure centers. So really looking at where you've been feeling that pressure and that pressure to move, especially in the root. So gate 41, contraction decrease, we're moving here. From 41, we're moving towards the solar plexus, and the solar plexus is that emotional center. So let's take a look why specifically the 41 is so important. Is it showing the mandala right now on the share screen? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So for
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. I forgot.
it's okay. I can see you nodding.
Okay.
Just want to make sure you can see as I'm talking about it. Um,
You saw me nodding, but you didn't hear my brain rattling.
going, ah! I feel you. So the human design system is a synthesis of a whole bunch of different ancient wisdoms, and one of them is the I Ching. And so this is where we get over here, we've got the different gates and then the hexagrams. And so the I Ching is the book of changes, and this is one of the oldest texts ever written. So this was about 10 to like 4th century BC. So incredibly, incredibly, incredibly old ancient wisdom. And so we've got the 64 different hexagrams right here. And then they're each comprised of 6 lines. So you see you've got these solid lines there, which is the yang, and then we've got the broken lines, which is the yin. And so those all make up, they have different meanings for them, but we're not going to get into that today. And so, what's really incredibly interesting is that in the 1950s, biologists then discovered the genetic code. They cracked the genetic code, and they found out in our DNA, we have 64 codons, right? And these are made up of 6 amino acids. If you're like, what the heck does that mean? Don't worry about it, other than to know that they share. So, the hexagrams, I Ching, these gates, and our DNA sequencing shares the exact same binary structure, which is so incredibly cool. So each of these is related to a different DNA codon, and 41 specifically is the methionine, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I think so. The methionine, which is the starting codon, which is the starting for the sequencing for all our genetic sequencing, like everything. This is the start. This is what starts things happening. So that's really cool. That is, I mean, just how that all fits together so beautifully. I don't know, it makes me all like giddy about that.
Yeah. Excuse me. Whoa, frog in the throat. Yeah, it's very cool. And I just, you said we're not going to get into all the different names, but I'm going to get into some of the different names. Not the names of all the hexagram parts or whatever, but the names of the gate, because this gate has so many names. Like if you first think about it, it's like the I Ching name is actually contraction or decrease. But in the traditional human design name is actually fantasy. And right, is that what it's? No, it says, okay, so this is another thing. I saw that somewhere that it said it's actually fantasy. But now in my little Ray Ching book here, it's saying the actual name in human design is contraction, and the I Ching one is decrease. So I am correcting myself immediately. But I did read somewhere else that the name in human design is traditional human design is fantasy,
So I think
which
with
is
that, it's because
interesting,
it's about fantasy, and so
right?
it's like it's almost the nickname, if you will. It's
Right?
not the traditional name; it's the nickname for
Okay,
this gate. So
because
yes.
fantasy is actually in Gene Keys the shadow of Gate 41.
Mhm.
So it's been interesting to contemplate the difference in this because it's in quantum human design, it's called the gate of imagination. And so if you think of what does contraction have to do with imagination and what does um, this all have to do with fantasy, right? But it's really this beautiful energy of pulling back in, focusing in on what is the thing we want to imagine. It's not just like loosey-goosey, imagine all the possibilities, right? It's pulling it all in, contracting and focusing. And so that's really this root pressure energy comes in a pulse. So it's that pulse to focus and imagine the thing, right?
Yeah.
Or things, but not all the things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's that pressure to seek that new, right? Feeling
Mhm.
that pressure, that pulse that you were talking about, to find those fulfilling experiences, not just necessarily haphazardly, but finding what fulfills you, right? But simultaneously dreaming big. The energy that accompanies this is a bit of that fantasy energy. It's like, what is your fantasy? What is that really, really, really big dream that you have? Not just that goal that you're here to check off. Like, what is that big dream? So for me, one day, a castle in Scotland. I don't know if you've noticed my little knight over here.
Mhm.
My goblets. So like that's a big dream for me, right? And sometimes that comes with a little bit of fear and trepidation around it. Like, how am I going to do that? But that's what this is about. This is about starting that cycle, starting that excitement, that
This
big.
is about Outlander. You're watching Outlander.
I did. I've read all the books of Outlander. I'm currently I'm reading the Fourth Wing series. So
Oh, okay.
the new book came out today. So yes,
This
I'm
is the
big on reading the
fantasy part,
fantasy
right?
series.
Don't get
Yes.
caught in the shadows. We know where your mind is at.
Yeah, I'm here for the big dreaming, for the fantasies,
Right.
for the castle, and I absolutely love Scotland. So yeah, so it's just that initiating, right? Initiating that big dream. And it marks the beginning of the emotional experience, right? And those imaginative journeys. And with it, the root center brings with it almost like a fuel, right? With that pressure for that new beginning through those dreams and fantasies. And it encourages emotional expansion using creativity. Like we get to really step into creativity with this, right? So, like sitting and being really creative, not like what's right here in front of me? What is the thing that I can do this year? But like, what do I get to think of outside of the box? Again, coming back to that big, juicy, delicious dream that almost feels like, can I have that? borderlining on a bit of that fantasy. Um, Also, simultaneously, there's that importance with this of releasing past experiences to make way for those new opportunities, right? And there's a piece of that balancing between the desire for the new experiences and the patience to wait for the right moment, wait for that pulse, wait for that movement.
Yeah, and I keep thinking while you're talking about how this is all happening at the same time of these long-term transits that are giving us the channel of transitoriness, the 3536,
Mhm.
which is also about um, emotional experiences, right? So so this energy is coming through also, really saying, okay, dream big, but don't dream so specific that you get locked into your expectations, right?
Mhm.
So it's really this feeling of um, dreaming a dream of a feeling more than like, how are you going to feel in that castle in Scotland, right? Like, think about that and not get locked into the location and the physical looks of it and the whatever, so that you're open to whatever it is that you're meant to experience, that this imagining of this place in Scotland might be opening up to you. But if you get so locked into that whole sort of thing that you might say no to something that's going to give you that same feeling, only better in a different location or a different building or whatever. So this allowing, right? Like you were saying, this being able to allow these things to happen, not just forcing them.
Yeah, absolutely. Releasing that expectation of I'm gonna have a castle that looks like a square
Mm.
castle with a moat with so that when that castle does come, that experience comes, I can step into it. And I love that you say that because I'm very big on visualizations. And Amy Lee and I sit and we do visualizations. We listen to like Scottish music and then just like feeling the moss under your feet and your hands and like what that feeling is. So that's so beautiful that you brought that in because that's absolutely a part of it. But not being, like you said, stuck on it's going to, and even if it's not in Scotland, that's okay. I'm okay with like a not Scotland castle. So what about you? What's your big crazy dream?
Well, it's interesting because um, I just, as always, we enter in this. I'm like in the process. I just finished writing my blog post about all this. And I
Mhm.
was going so different with this in the whole, like, there's a thing in how there's always a key phrase with each gate. So for the gate of decrease, it's the limitation of resources which maximizes development of potential. Fantasizing and recognizing the one feeling of value begins the next cycle. So I've really been focusing on the feeling. And for me, that feeling has been really tied to my word for 2025, which is simplify. So how can I feel that I'm making things simple, making things easy in a way that allows more in? Because I realize when things are hard, the universe sees, oh, she's struggling, she's having a hard time. And either one gives you a lot more to show you that you're really not struggling, or they just say, oh, you don't need any more. It's too much. I don't know. I haven't quite figured it out. But either way, I want to have an expansive feeling in my life that allows me to not feel that everything's so crammed in that I can't say yes to something without letting important things go. So saying no to all the things that aren't important and that don't recognize me. Um, so that contraction has been more my focus than um, more than the imagination of what's to come, because I'm imagining creating room for what I can't even imagine.
Oh, and that's so perfect, right? That complete surrender. Like, I'm here for it. I am here
Right.
for this big, beautiful, whatever fantasy to happen, right? And anchoring in deeply to that.
Yeah, I feel like there is something big on the horizon, and I've really let go of, I should say, I am actively letting go. I have not let go. I'm not done yet. It's still, my mind still says, oh, why are they doing this or da da da, gets on the things. But I'm actively observing that and letting it go of this feeling of needing to know the the how ins and outs of everything that's happening so that I can just be surprised by what my mind has yet to imagine, right?
Yeah, that expectation, right? Looking at
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. And I want to add to it the other thing with the 35-36 that we're really being called into is letting go of the need to what's the word I'm looking for? Like letting go of other people's expectations, right? Or like that we somehow, if you're imagining this and building this fantasy, and then we can have this feeling of like, oh, how's this other person going to react? Or what are they going to do? Or what do they need to do to make this happen? Like just basically like focusing on yourself, So letting go of their experiences and let them have their own journey. My
Yeah.
throat is really raspy this morning. I had not noticed it until we started talking.
No.
Hmm, More
Need
talking.
some more warmth, some nice warm tea. Something else I just wanted to bring up, that the circuitry for this, for the Gate 41 is collective. So we've got the individual, the tribal, which we've kind of been going between. So now we're looking into a more collective energy as we're going through and, seeking those new fulfilling experiences.
And one other thing I want to add, you might be getting to it later, and I don't remember if it's in here, but even though this is the beginning of it's the start code on the beginning of the Human Design New Year, it's still in the fourth quarter, the quarter of mutation,
Mhm.
right? So we're
Mhm.
still, in some ways, wrapping up the old with this energy.
Yeah.
So,
With
yeah.
that, yeah, transformation, absolutely. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, wait, hold on, what? Isn't this the end of it right there? So that was,
No, gate 13 is the first of the next quarter.
hold on, let me share this for anybody who's like, what in the world are you talking about? Um, so here, if you look, this is the line right here where we cross over into the new experience, but we're still in, it's broken into the four different quarters. Do I have the four quarters shown on here? Don't know if I actually have a picture of that on here. And so for the four quarters, um, I do not actually have that. So the quarter is not ending. It's going to end over here. So we're still in 19 as well, because 19 is my son. That's in the fourth quarter, which is about that transformation, about coming to the close as well.
Your birthday's coming.
My birthday's coming up on the 30th,
Ooh,
which
so
is
right after the Lunar New Year
the Lunar New Year. And
is
then
the
I think
29th.
the nodes are switching too. So,
Oh yeah, and oh yeah,
mhm.
that's where we're getting and it's funny because it's switching right into the what is it, the 37 and the 30, no, the 36 and the 6, 36 and the 6. Um, yeah. So we get that 36 again, even though there's so many people I know who were saying, oh, they couldn't or not 36. I don't know, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. I had a thought that I realized is wrong, so I'm letting it go.
Yeah, so we're, let's see.
Damn open Asha. There's stuff in there. It doesn't always come out right.
Hold on, where are we? I have it in here exactly what it is. So we're going to the north node. Next is, so we're in the 36.6 and we're going into the, no, we're going into 36.6.
Right.
And for the south node, 6.6, if that
Yeah,
makes.
and so 36 is where Neptune is now, right? Or is that two? 36 is on the solar plexus,
I
right? I always mix up 35 and 36. So 36 is where Neptune has been for like 2 years. And I know so many people who kept saying, oh, and finally in February, Neptune is leaving gate 36. And sorry, the nodes are coming in. You're still going to have that emotional, like people who
still
were
gonna be
being
here.
defined emotionally. It's funny.
Yes, yes. I'm looking at the calendar right now.
Yeah.
To see, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's fun, right? But just for anybody who's like, wait, all these numbers, they're all changing. The sun is the prominent one, right? Though that's like the 70% because it's the
Right.
closest, it's the biggest.
Yeah. So when I look at the transits, I always look at the sun, but I always look at the earth because the earth is always what grounds us in
Mhm.
order to really embody that energy of the sun in the correct way or whatever. I don't know if correct is the right word, but and then of course, obviously, none of that is really us when it's the transits, but it can work for us when we are aware, when we are, like you said, you know, observing, isn't this interesting? Rather than just being like blindly tugged along by the energy that's impacting us. We can observe it and we can use our strategy and authority in a way that grows, has us grow and expand from it.
Mhm.
And yes, it's still passenger consciousness, but we're cleaning the windows that we can see with, see out with, right?
Yes, I love that so much. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, it's so helpful. I found in my experience, I'm experiencing the thing, and then I look at the transits and I go, oh, of course. It's always just like, oh, okay, of course. I
Yeah.
see, okay, yeah, of
And
course.
isn't it funny how you'll be like all of a sudden everybody's talking about something and you're like, wait, what are the transits? And you're like, oh yeah, that's why.
Now I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Right?
So it's not even necessarily that you have to start with the transits. You can just feel and go, what is happening? I'm feeling this and
Right?
this and this. And then the transits
Right.
help to give you a little bit of that, almost like, oh, okay, yeah, this is why I'm experiencing these things.
Yeah.
So our contemplative questions that we have for Gate 41. First one, what dreams or fantasies do I have? So looking at like what are those, maybe even when you were a kid, what were those like crazy dreams and fantasies? And then obviously some of them you don't bring forward. Like I was going to be a dolphin trainer when I was little, and then we did a swim with the dolphins, and I touched them, and they were very slimy, and it was not, it was kind of horrifying. Um, so I decided dolphin trainer wasn't the right life path for me. But really connecting into like, what are those fantasies? What are those dreams? Do you allow yourself to just sit and dream big and just fantasize about, like, could you imagine if this, and what does that look like for you? And then how can I use them as inspiration for new beginnings in my life? What am I desiring and longing for? So, for an example, with my castle, with Scotland, last year, my friend Steph and I, we went to Scotland and we romped around in all the castles. We went to Edinburgh Castle, we did all the hikes, we just, immersed in Scotland, in, just the feeling of the people and the place. Like, how, what is a step towards feeling that, stepping into that dream? Another question. How can I prepare myself for the sacrifice or discipline needed to channel my focus and commitment, turning dreams into reality? So this one's a little bit of a reality check to that fantasy, right? You can sit there and dream all day about a castle, and you can dream all day, oh, this is just going to happen. But what are the things you actually, what is the work you've put in? What are the steps you take? What are you going to start doing and shifting in your life to start moving towards that, right? Like, what is that sacrifice? Potentially like a castle. If I have a castle, do I have to leave Florida, right? Like, what are part of those sacrifices you have to make towards that and be willing to, right? And that discipline where it's continuing down that stream, continuing moving towards the stream. Just that it's not like a flighty, oh, I really wanted to do this, but then you put it on the back burner, that it's really in the forefront there of your awareness. Next question. In what ways do I allow my imagination to guide me? And how can I nurture my visions to manifest them into reality? So, like, what are your practices? Like, how, what does that look like for you to step into that imagination, to step into that juicy energy? Do you allow yourself to even write the sentence like, I desire, and then fill in what it is? Because so many of us are in that mindset of, I don't get to desire things. I've got to do this, this, and this, and take care of everybody else first. But like, what about like, I desire a nice hot bath. I desire, and then allowing yourself to have those things, right? What are the ways you step into and become aware of how you interact with your imagination, with your desires in life? What past experiences can I release in order to create space for new emotional journeys and opportunities? So again, what am I letting go of? What am I going, okay, that happened, but now that's done. I'm on this new journey. I'm on this new experience, and I'm doing things a little bit differently this time. And then how can I balance the desire for new experiences? So, in case you can't tell, I'm full blown here for that, right? I feel like I'm like, desires, what do you want? You want a castle. What are these things? What are your big dreams? Now, how do I balance it? With patience, with trusting that the right opportunities, right, will unfold at the right time, never crossing over into like pushing to make it happen, right? There's this piece of like dedication towards it, but not forcing it, following and trusting. And I feel like your example is that perfect level of surrender into that, right? So we balance. Find yourself a Kathy if you're a Jess.
Um, well, they say every project or generator. Well, I think they actually say every manifesting generator needs a projector, but I think every generator type needs a projector, right? I'd like to
Yes,
think that.
yes, I'll take it. I need you.
Awesome. That feels good. Yeah. So, I do think sometimes I might err a little bit too much on the cautionary side, of not allowing the true vision of the dream, right? There's a little bit of this and I it's funny because I can remember a time going through an experience with someone, it was actually my sister was taking me through this experience of imagining a perfect day in my perfect life. And I really, you know, felt a lot of resistance to the idea of deciding what my perfect house looked like, like all of that stuff felt um too certain, maybe for a cross of uncertainty. I don't know. But it felt too limiting for me. And although I do have, somewhere, I don't know, I guess I put it away. I had a vision board I made a couple years ago that I felt I could keep for year after year because it didn't have things with any specific nature. Partially because I was limited by the magazines that I had. And I was like, nothing here is really. So it was things like a woman standing and laughing. So it was this feeling stuff, right? It was like pictures of people like sitting front, like women having coffee and talking. And, that sort. So it was more feelings or whatever. And so like I loved that whole, these are the things I want to feel. So, rather than, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. I don't know. And I don't know. I don't feel like I need something to be very specific, although there's a part of me that has a vision of me having some kind of a little house on the beach or close to the beach. But then, I just was down in Florida when everything got destroyed by hurricanes. So part of me is like, well, maybe I don't own it. Maybe I just go there a lot.
I like that. I
Right?
like that. Less maintenance,
Right?
right? Or come and
Yeah.
visit Jess. Just
There
gonna
you go. Are you
that
close
one.
to the beach? Oh yeah, I remember you showed me how you could walk there. It was like, yeah, not too bad.
So
Yeah, that sounds like a date.
yes, absolutely.
All
So
right, I'm gonna look at my calendar.
yes,
Mm.
yes. I'm excited. I'm actually a little nervous. I'm going to New York this weekend. So I'm like, I'm
Oh
going to
God, you're
freeze.
going to freeze. New
I'm
York
going to
City?
freeze. I'm going to go in like a huge big parka and like face mask. I don't do well with cold, so but it'll be fun. But coming back to those dreams, you get to live the dreams. But what are you going to, okay, that's a perfect example of sacrificing. I love Broadway and I'm so excited to go and see, go see all the plays and all the shows. But the sacrifice is the cold, right? Going and freezing and being determined, like, okay, this gets to happen even though it's freezing.
Right. And I'm always like, I'm going to sacrifice being able to wear anything cute because it all has to be underneath a huge ass parka and some kind of warm. If you go to New York, you want to be able to wear your cute stuff, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
That's me though.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
I love that you say that as well about the feeling, because one of the ways in which I work with dream design. So I don't know if you know this, but I'm a dream design coach is what
Mhm.
I work with, working with your dreams and those beliefs. Is we work on making a soul vision board, and that is connecting in with the feelings. And we look at the different feelings that come up for you, and what are the things that you're looking for, what are the things that are bringing you like that joy, that spark, like what are the things in that, coupled with your human design. So it's almost like
Mhm.
that's the like the what, and then the human design is like the how, looking at where you might have some blocks, where things might be showing up in there. So
Yeah. Well, looking at the feelings is super important with everything too, right? And that's kind of like today's the first day in my Shine Your Light Style Confidence Challenge. And the first prompt is all about the feelings you have about what you wear based on early memories of what people said to you about what you were wearing or what you should wear, and reflecting on how those things have shaped you and are they really things you want to take forward with you, and um, so really looking at those things with a new lens, not to judge the people who said them, but to really look at you know, some of the things that were said to me, I can judge the people for, but some of it was just stuff that was just said, and like I always got attention when I wore something new, so that shaped me to always want something new that no one had seen before, right? Which is not very sustainable, both from your budget or the planet. So, really realizing where that was coming from and stuff like that. So, the more and being able to sit with our feelings is really a lot of this energy also that the work we're being called to do with all of the stuff that's been going on with the transits lately. This Mars retrograde has been really asking us to sit with a lot of that. So, yeah,
yeah.
and just imagine what we're going to do as we move forward. So,
Mhm. Absolutely. And loving all parts of yourself right through it. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, I'm excited to do that. I saw your email, so I'm super excited. But
Yeah, and when we're done here, I'm gonna finish doing my own content, my own share. So yeah, it was funny because this is the kind of thing where it's a style thing, but it's not about people just like, oh, right away go into your closet, because you gotta figure out why your closet is the way it is and why you're having whatever struggles you're having. And some people dress fine, but that doesn't mean it's not a struggle for them to do it.
Mhm.
Let's simplify, make life easy.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
anyway, my
Really
little
great.
commercial.
New Year. Yeah, I love
Sorry.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, cheers to the new year with kombucha
Yeah.
and your mushrooms. I love it.
Cheers. Right.
So I hope everybody has an amazing next cycle. And I hope this really helped you all close out, whatever was ready to close so you could step into this new cycle, washing off that paintbrush again, so you can start fresh and bringing in those things and the creations that are aligned with who you truly are. And one last reminder, we're going to have Barbara Ditlow, who we're so excited for an hour to, answer questions and talk about 2027, the shift that's happening there, about closing this past like what 400-year cycle that we've been in, for the cross of planning and kind of what that looks like, things to expect. So we're going to be doing that Zoom with her, and that's January 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to send out another email about that one and put that in the Telegram. So if you all have any questions pertaining to 2027, definitely let us know so we can share that with her.
And if anyone's interested, another shameless plug here, my podcast interview with Barbara dropped last night, and I already noticed there was a comment on the YouTube that someone said, I forget the exact thing she said, but something about it being her favorite conversation on my channel.
Oh wow. Yeah, she's
It was a great chat.
yeah.
So
So that's actually, if anybody's not familiar with Barbara Ditlow, definitely go and check out that podcast because she just her energy and the way in which she explains things. She actually on her website, she has a clip from Raw where he did a reading for her saying that she has like this exceptional way to explain things to people, and I feel it.
mhm.
Just the
Yeah.
way for me she resonates. There's just such kindness, and then she's also hope motivation, that like piece of hope through it, but it's also very
Mhm.
realistic. I love
And
the way it is.
what's really nice is in these stories, it's real human design stories is where you share your personal story. So she tells her story, and what I thought was hilarious was when she talks about her experience as somebody who investigated cults and how she like looked at all of this when she first entered human design to make sure she wasn't getting into a cult, and how strongly she focused to make sure not to allow Ra to become like her guru because that's all part of the thing. And so yeah, so it's an interesting conversation. So I definitely, yeah,
I'm gonna go listen. I'm excited.
yeah,
So
good.
actually, if you want to, I don't know if you shared that directly, but if you want to share the podcast, or I can share it directly in the group and the Telegram for people,
I'll put it in the comments when you
and YouTube if you want to put it on the comments there. Yeah, just
yeah,
because that's phenomenal. Well,
okay,
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Yay.
thank you so much. Happy New
Actually, I'll send you the link and then you can even put it in the description on the
Perfect. Yep.
YouTube comments. So if you're
Lovely.
watching this on YouTube, go there.
Yeah. Wherever you're watching.
Right?
Love it.
Wherever you're watching, go to
Wherever
the
you're
comments
watching.
and
Well,
see if
wherever you're
there's
watching
something,
from, we love you and we hope
right?
you have a beautiful new cycle, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions,
Okay.
concerns, just
I get
say hi. Love
not
you
doing
guys.
I wanted confetti for the new year. It's not working.
Why is it not working? What
All
are we
right, we'll
doing?
just have to do this.
What's no? Ah! Yeah.
That's what I usually do.
What
But
happens
it's
when I do
supposed
heart?
to, I think we're supposed to, there we go. I think you're not supposed to move it. There we go. So that's how you get the confetti. So Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
And then there's this one.
What's this one? My
Wait.
screen's like there's too much energy in Jess already. Oh,
Happy
oh,
New
oh.
Year.
Now we're partying. Okay, well,
Right? Okay. I don't know. Sometimes if your fingers aren't up enough, I don't know. You got to
maybe
do, I think
I'm
you had
doing
your
too much.
thumbs up and it's got to be the horns, hook 'em horns. Yeah, there you go. Okay, we're playing.
We're playing, we're
Bye,
having fun. And
everybody.
don't forget to play and have fun.
That's right.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.